So now we'll ask Greg Russell to come up. Last night, Greg received the Tribute of Hope Award from the ADAO. And during the course of that meeting and the presentation, I learned a couple of things I didn't know about Greg, and that is that at age 5, or maybe it was 7, he was already thinking about being a firefighter, and in fact had already taken some steps in that direction. And he has spent, I would say most of the years, many of the years since then, actually fighting fires or fighting catastrophe and other events that result in adverse health effects for human beings. He's been working with ADAO more recently and was a government affairs liaison for the International Association for Firefighters. So Greg has really had a very broad and varied career. And so we're very happy to have him here today to talk to you about his experiences and what he has learned. Greg.
Thanks so much. So as a lobbyist on Capitol Hill, my job is really simple, or was simple, and that is to be a storyteller. So I'd like to share this story with you. I spent more than four decades of service with the fire department. In that time, I have seen courage beyond measure, sacrifice without hesitation, and unfortunately, way too many people suffering. I've watched too many of my brothers and sisters in the firehouse as they have learned that they are facing cancer, a cancer that they did not earn. I've attended too many funerals of firefighters that have given their all for the public they serve. While we know that when we run into buildings, there is visible danger, that being the smoke, the heat, the possibility of the building crushing, falling down and crushing us. What we don't know and what we don't see are the dangers that doesn't roar. It doesn't show itself plainly in front of us, but it lingers in our air. And that is the asbestos fibers. Those fibers, they kill us. Surely and silently, with time, they will certainly kill us all. The danger is real for firefighters on all structural incidents, all natural disasters. It is real, it is asbestos. Let's be clear. If we can prevent exposures, we can prevent disease. If we eliminate the source, we eliminate the threat. Asbestos prevention is the cure. Say that one again. Asbestos prevention is the cure. The science is settled. For decades, asbestos has been linked to deadly disease, and we know that it's tied to aggressive cancers with no cure. Asbestosis, mesothelioma, the scarring in the lungs that leads to other respiratory distresses. Plus, there's other cancers such as ovarian and gastrointestinal. Interestingly enough, the World Health Organization has said it plainly enough, but we aren't hearing it. There is no safe level of asbestos exposure. None. We need to hear that as a public and as our legislators. And yet our firefighters, our emergency responders are still routinely put in harm's way. Every time that bell rings and they respond to a structural fire, every time we open up a ceiling or a wall, every time we do the jobs that we have to do to save the public and property, we are exposed to asbestos as we are setting it free. That asbestos floats up in the smoke and in the thermals, it exits the structures, and then it hovers over top of us. Eventually, it'll cool off and it'll settle down onto the earth and whatever is nearby. And thereby, it clings to our gear. It clings to our fire engines. It finds home on our uniforms. We take it back to our fire stations. We take it into our living quarters in the fire stations. And unfortunately, we take it to our home, to our loved ones. We secondarily expose our children, our spouses, and unfortunately, we are responsible for their disease. You know, these fibers can sit in our lungs for 20, 30, 40 years. The latency period is amazing. We have long forgot about the fires we've gone on. I can't tell you how many hundred bread and butter working fires I've responded to. I also can't tell you how many times I did not wear the proper self-contained breathing apparatus or other respiratory protection. We have to have the supervision. We have to have the training, and we have to have a world that is asbestos free. By the time cancer is diagnosed, it's often too late for the cure. And every single exposure is preventable. I can't stress that enough. Prevention is the cure. Recent disasters remind us of how dangerous the toxic legacy of asbestos can be when fire strikes in some of our communities. Think about Lahaina in Maui, August of 2023. Powerful winds blew flames through this historic neighborhood, reducing over 2,200 structures to nothing but ash. Then the families lost everything, their loved ones, their homes, their livelihoods, but beneath that devastation, another danger lurked, and that is the asbestos that fires released. But it also released arsenic, lead, dioxins, and heavy metals. We then went back into those scenes and did cleanup and look for what kind of salvageable mementos families could find. Thereby, again, people were exposed. Our responders, our volunteers working in the rubble had uneven access to protective equipment. They had uneven access to guidance on how to respond and do their job. And they all had inadequate decontamination. That toxic blanket in that community and the contamination will last long after the flames of those fires in Maui are forgotten. So I grew up on a Marine base in Tustin, California. That Marine base was home to some World War II blimp hangars. Those hangars were 20 stories tall, 1,200 feet long. In October, following the Maui fire, just a few months later, one of those hangars burned to the ground. Firefighters were on scene for over 7 days. Later on, we found within a 3 to 5 mile radius around that fire, the land that I grew up on, the playgrounds that I played on, I personally played on those playgrounds, the schools that I went to. ADAO was approached by citizens that found debris in their yard. And upon testing, asbestos was found in that debris. That shows you how far that the asbestos that floats into the thermal layers can dissipate over our community. Think about the tens of thousands of people in Southern California that were exposed simply because of that fire. Now look at this past January. We suffered tremendous fires in Los Angeles. Unprecedented firestorms, including the fire at Eaton and Palisades, burned across neighborhoods and hillsides. It destroyed regions, over 12,000 structures in that region. These weren't just wildfires. They were an urban inferno. They consumed homes, businesses, schools, you name it. It was consumed in those many acres that burned. Each one of those buildings was packed with years worth of old building material, many of them asbestos laden. In the smoke, the smoke carried that asbestos into the atmosphere. And again, it rained down. As Linda said, she was some 30 miles away, and yet that ash found its way into her neighborhood. Think about the millions of people that were exposed. If we can prevent asbestos from being utilized in any fashion, then we can prevent the disease. These aren't isolated events. Every building that is consumed in a blaze releases toxic chemicals, including asbestos. Asbestos was once praised as a miracle substance, and now we know that the sad tragedy that it was a deadly substance that's going to linger with us for years and years to come. As I wrap up, I want to say there are some things we can do. We have to be first very vigilant in our actions and not take no for an answer. So first, we must pass the Alan Reinstein Ban Asbestos Now Act. This legislation would finally prohibit manufacture, import, and distribution of asbestos across the United States. It is that direct federal action that will lead to safe communities. The next thing we must do is we must establish for the firefighters a mandate that we have zero asbestos risk. And by how we do that is we catalog all those structures out there that we know that contain asbestos, and we take proper steps and planning to prevent putting firefighters at risk in those facilities. Once we save the people, the buildings can go. We can rebuild. We have learned that. There's no sense risking the people. The third, we need to move about creating more PPE strictly for scene cleanup. And we also have to have secondary sets of personal protective equipment for firefighters, so when they come out of that incident, they can go into a full decontamination with their existing turnout gear and have a second set that they move to. And then finally, what we have to do is we have to monitor the health and welfare of our firefighters and recognize the occupational disease that comes from asbestos. Look, the cost of inaction is clear. Inaction is going to lead to further death. We see 40,000 deaths across the United States annually. We don't want to see that number increase. How we do this, we ban asbestos, and being parochial, thinking about my brothers and sisters in the fire service, we get them secondary sets of turnout gear, and then we do heavy health monitoring and recognize occupational disease covering that when they become ill. The call to action is clear. We must pass the ban, the Alan Reinstein Ban Asbestos Now Act, and we're going to get it done this cycle. Thank you all.